Hi everyone. In this video, we'll describe coiled job arrays, which are a really easy way to run any job script, any script on the cloud on lots of machines. They were actually designed off of a very old technology in HPC resource managers, HPC job schedulers like Slurm, where people would add, they'd write some bash script. Here the script just says hello from 1, 2, 3, etc. And they would have comments in the top that would specify the hardware that job script had to run on. We took that same approach and we just designed it for the cloud with Coiled. And so this script will print out hello from 1, 2, 3 on different machines, on 10 different machines with hardware of 8 gigabytes each. It's super easy to use. I'll go ahead and start that off now. So that's going to asynchronously submit these jobs to run on the cloud. I get back a job ID, and I can use that job ID to do various things, like check the status of that job. It's going to take probably 30 seconds for those VMs to come online and run hello. In the meantime, let's go look at some other things that we can do with that. So notably, this isn't using any Python code. This is using the program Echo, which is designed many, many years ago. This doesn't have to run Python stuff. More often, we see people who run this with compiled C++ or Fortran code or CLI commands they've already got, or with Python. Python's good too. You can use this with a custom Docker image that you've created elsewhere. Again, useful if you're running custom code. Or if you're using Python, all the same coiled stuff will always apply. We'll always scrape up your local Python environment and replicate that remotely. So here's an example of running not a bash script, but a Python script with those same comments in the header, and we can submit a Python script as well. In this is the exact same program as before. We're using print in Python rather than echo, but we've removed the container because again, Coiled can pick up your local software environment and replicate it remotely without you having to use Docker if you don't have any pre-compiled software you need to use. A more real example of that is using something like PyTorch, right? So I might want to use some GPU machine on the cloud. I've got some PyTorch that runs locally on my laptop. Coiled can pick up that environment, replicate it on lots of machines in the cloud, and swap out all the CPU packages for all the GPU packages appropriately. So this is a common application we see. People want to run a machine learning model many times on the cloud. They can just submit this script, much like how we submitted our bash script. Also common, people use this to process lots of files at once. So in this case, I'm bringing up S3FS, I'm looking at S3, and I'm grabbing the ith file. So this environment variable will change on every job from 0 to, in this case, 1000. And we can use that as a switch inside of our code to change what each task does. So I might read a file, I might process that file, I might put it back into S3. And again, it's a very easy, simple way to use the cloud. So let's go take a look again. Looks like all those jobs are done. We can go and take a look at the logs for that job. Let's grab for hello. And we'll be able to see that, yep, we printed out from 0 to 10 on different machines in the cloud, running nicely. So again, super simple way to use the cloud. Just want to run a bunch of scripts somewhere. You can do this without Coiled. You can do this with raw AWS projects, like AWS Batch. That's the project we most often see. It's just a little bit hard. So let's just take a look at how we would do this with raw AWS APIs. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT, I'd like to run a Hello World application on AWS Batch. I'm going to ask it for copy-pastable examples I can put in my terminal. Let's just see what that looks like. So first, make sure you have the AWS CLI installed in a Docker file. Let's see, we've got to construct a Docker file with everything we've got in it. We make a Python script, I can put it inside that Docker file. We push that Docker file up to ECR. Build the image. Okay, now we've got to set up AWS Batch. So in Batch, we've got to create a compute environment with a command like this one. We have to then create a job queue with, again, a command like this. I'm going to make a job definition. And I don't really know what the difference is between these two things, honestly. Then we can submit those jobs to AWS Batch. Here they're using a bash script. You could probably do it better. But anyway, what the point here is that there's a lot of steps, and there's steps that honestly aren't all that easy to interpret from someone who isn't AWS certified. We see a lot of companies do this, but it's usually a cloud DevOps team that's setting it up and running things rather than the individual sort of Python data people that are running stuff. And we find that this API is actually something that anybody can run. And so we're pretty excited about making it more accessible. We hope this makes using a lot of hardware on the cloud a lot easier, which is our goal at Coiled. This just ends up being useful in some other situations, like with precompiled C++ or Fortran code. And it's also just a very simple command line based way of doing things. So hopefully that's useful. Give it a shot and let us know how it goes. Cheers.